I feel fine as I walk down the street, really far from what I had.
So the first subject was about of course the COVID-19 and the crisis and how we perceive this global change, because now it's global. So I want to hear you about what is your perception, because you are digital since many years now, and as a digital entrepreneur, you can give us a very good insight from Detroit and of course from Caracas and from London, everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the economic impact, I think we're still kind of waiting to see. I'm not an economist, so we can hope for the best long-term, obviously, on a global economic scale. But I do know that we can control what we can control in our businesses now, and we can be proactive as we can by diversifying our revenue streams, meaning that we're not just focusing on one thing. Because if you run a marketing agency that specifically caters to the restaurant industry, you're having a really tough time right now if that's the only thing that you're doing. And just even if you are just a service provider, if you're a restaurant owner, or if you're a store, we have to be thinking digital first. I think that this is better proof than anything that the companies and the organizations that do have some digital strategy behind their brick and mortars are the ones who are at least surviving right now. If you're completely new to digital, it's going to be really tough to kind of climb out of this. I mean, here locally, there's a yoga studio that is thriving right now from digital memberships. They have their instructors doing exactly what we're doing right now, getting on a Zoom call and teaching people, to work out in their living rooms, which is amazing. Restaurants are thriving because of mobile ordering and apps that work. I can't tell you how many restaurants I've tried to order from, and I can't even figure out how to, I can't even find their ordering page on their website. So I definitely think we're learning to be digital first and diversify our revenue streams, so we're not ever relying on just one type of business that we're serving, or just one model to make money.
This is very interesting, Latasha, because in fact, it's not a real crisis as that we have in 1928, etc. So where you have a real falling down of the financial system. Now it's more maybe a big, huge opportunity, for digital. It's an acceleration.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone needs digital, and it's amazing. Those of us who do have a digital strategy, and nothing's changed for me. I'm still able to work just like normal from my home, which is a really amazing thing. And I think that people are starting to catch on to this, and I think organizations are starting to catch on to this that are being forced to work remotely now. Some may have never considered doing this before, and now are realizing, hey, my workforce is still working. They might even be more productive. A lot of times we are. So yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity with digital for sure.
No, I was in the past world, during 20 years I was in L'Oréal. So in L'Oréal is the email culture, is an organization where you have to be at the office at 8:00 in the evening. So is the old-fashioned way, the 90s way, which is now changing. So, for instance, when we create the company, the startup URIJI, we forbid emails. So it's only Slack. So that means we have many meetings at the same time, remote meetings that we have also the capacity to be at home. It's not important where you are. What is important is the way that you communicate efficiently and you create a good atmosphere, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just look at Zoom, like this tool that we're using is just completely, they're thriving in this climate right now.
But for us, it's natural, Latasha, but for many people, it's very difficult. It's very tough to create this digital identity, to reinsure our client customers, to build trust, I think. And maybe this is one of the points of our public today, of the people that are connected here, is how to build a trust remotely using Zoom, for instance. Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with just being a storyteller, essentially, telling your story online, right? I mean, that's how you and I connected. That's how I connect with so many of my clients and friends and people that I network with, is just by having conversations. So whether it is something as simple as this, just hopping onto virtual meetings, starting your own, just, inviting, your community, people in your industry to just hop on a Zoom call. I think it helps not just from a business perspective, but also from some of the more emotional things that we're all going through as a community right now, and helps with combating some of that loneliness. But I mean,
very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all going through this, and it's a lot to go through, for sure. So being able to lean on a community is important. So yeah, telling your story and just being open to having conversations with people, I think, is really important, more than ever right now.
But this is really new, to become a storyteller of everything and to give value to the community, because you have to give before want to receive something.
Yes.
I was listening at your podcast about generosity, how to be generous and to create a real exchange, empathy exchange with people.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe in giving away a lot before asking. Because I mean, I think we're our own best portfolios. If I can show you that I can, teach you about marketing before you've even paid me $1, in your mind, you're like, well, what would happen if I paid her a couple $100s or a couple $1,000? You're going to already understand the value, right?
The relationship. Yeah.
Exactly. And also, I think, again, just right now, we need community more than ever. So if you have the ability to give away a little tidbit of knowledge here and there for free, I think it's just a good way to impact the world as a whole.
I think we are a good example of that, because 3 years ago, you start giving to us some tips about digital strategy for the app, for the network. And it took 3 years of it's like a seed, because you are familiar to seeds, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Michigan approach of semer in French, sembrar in espagnol. How to use you seed, no? Tu sèmes.
Yep, exactly. Plant the seed, and we continue to help each other out over the years. I mean, that's how it starts, is just by being helpful in the beginning.
Your credibility and the trust that you create, in this case with me, comes to this approach of time, of giving, of sharing, of being open, because this is a good example. You tweet first about French, I think it was.
Yeah, I'm looking for a French Zoom study group, if anyone knows of any. So.
Allez, on va démarrer en français. Donc, on va inviter plusieurs notables de la communauté française pour travailler avec Latasha. Because you are preparing something in Paris, I think.
Yeah. I speak a little bit of French, but not very good.
Essaye quelques mots en français.
I'm too shy to speak French in public.
So I think one of your biggest strengths is, of course, this generosity, this digital trust that you create with your customers since many years. I think the approach of being a blogger, a storyteller, is very important, because you create a real strong digital identity. I think this is one of my biggest points. But of course, what is very interesting about your approach is to be very practical. As your last post on Instagram about light, I think my light is not so good, but I try. Because you have a full studio at your office. But I think this approach of being very, very professional, very inspiration is there, but also very practical, is very important, because people need solutions to create revenue, revenue streams. Even if you're a baker, how to do it. So I think it's very important to talk a little bit about this entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship, which is also offline. It's not only not everything is on Zoom, no?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you have to go where your audience is. So that's, a big thing for me right now. I'm focusing a lot on LinkedIn because that's where a lot of my target audience is. That's where the marketing decision makers are and people who would want to hire me are. It's not going to look the same for everybody. I have a YouTube channel, and often I'll have people come to me and they'll be like, oh, well, how do I start a YouTube channel? And maybe that works for you, but maybe not. That may or may not be the right path for you. You also have to be comfortable on camera, and a lot of people aren't. You don't have to show up on video every single day to have a personal brand or a digital identity. Some people are stronger writers. Some people are really comfortable podcasting and just doing audio stuff. So find what you like to do, find where your audience is, and go there first. And then you can kind of repurpose that content onto other platforms as needed, or as you start to get more comfortable creating content, you can start to branch out into other platforms. But you don't have to do everything on day one. Like, you don't need to be on Instagram and YouTube and start a podcast on day one. Just start where key audience is first, and then grow from there.
Yes, for me it was a learning curve, a difficult one, because in fact I have Spanish audience, French audience, English audience. Only the language, is a big issue, because you say, okay, I will say something on Instagram is 90% is Spanish, even more than 90%, and it's very local, because I created my Instagram in Caracas. LinkedIn is very French, very British French for me, and of course Twitter is a little bit more US, etc. So it's a big issue how to communicate. And each network, URIJI is more worldwide now, because we are in Bangladesh, in Africa, so things are happening. But it's true, the audience is key to speak with people. Is a real targeting issue, and when you are very generalist, it could be an issue, no?
Yeah, that is tough, and I can relate in some ways, not from the language aspect so much, although a little bit, because one of my biggest clients was in Paris for a long time. So I do have a lot of...
Tu as passé en français.
Yeah, I do have a lot of French business connections, so I can identify somewhat. But I have two different audiences. So I have like my corporate clients who I do marketing work for, and then I have coaching clients and people who take my courses. So sometimes those overlap a little bit, but often they're very different. And for me, I've been able to break them up by platform a little bit. Instagram is more of my coaching audience, YouTube is, whereas LinkedIn is more of my clients. So you just have to get creative about the platforms. And even, I know, I think at the end of the day, if you want to follow somebody, I don't care what language you're speaking or you're writing in. Like, I still enjoy your posts. I might not understand every single thing, but I still get the idea. And that's what you want to do. You want to build a brand that's so strong that, people will be okay if you're posting about something that maybe they don't care so much about or they don't fully understand.
It's true. It's very important. It's more about what you are saying, that the language, etc. It's true. So let's go for some analyzing a little bit the coming back to the issues of the situation now, and of course this problem of giving some modern tips. I mean, new tips for entrepreneurs to help them to establish, because now the plan is no plan. Is a little bit okay. Maybe we will go for a step-by-step, the quarantine, at the end of the quarantine, but we don't have any vaccine. So working safely will be, I think we need even 6 months to go for a business as usual, even more. So it will be digital. No? It will be, you in one of your podcasts, I think, you're speaking about even payment platforms, so very, very simple ways to be maybe not e-commerce, full e-commerce, but to modernize a little bit your revenue stream. No?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've even started to do this a little bit in that I'm trying to offer some lower priced products than I typically do, just understanding where my audience is at. A lot of my audience is still working, but some of them have been laid off. Some of them are looking to reskill or, re-enter the workplace, which nobody's hiring right now. So that's a hard thing to do. So I'm trying to understand where they're at and offer some kind of bite-sized courses, one-off coaching sessions. Normally I only book coaching in packages, but I'm offering 1 hour calls instead of having to book for three months. So you can modernize that way by adjusting your service offerings. You can also think about, like I said, like the yoga studio offering virtual sessions, any way that you can do virtual anything, whether it's consulting or workout classes or cooking classes. I saw a really cool, I shared it on LinkedIn, taco stand in Los Angeles. They are doing like grocery kits. So you can buy, tacos for a week, stuff to make your own tacos. And then they're also throwing in like random grocery essentials. So there's a lot of things that you can do with what you already have, just to package it in a different way that's more accessible for people. And that really meets them with what they need right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at, there is some ideas to expose more your process, the way that you do things, the way that even you sanitize your packaging, the way that you respect your consumer, the way that you invent something. Is more about authenticity than a beautiful video with some visual effects. It's more about being authentic and spontaneous. I think this is very important to be more connected with your storytelling. For instance, in your case, the last podcast in the radio, I think was yesterday, no? Where they push you a little bit about your personal storytelling.
Oh, yes,
important. I think it changed a little bit my vision of Latasha James. Is the real Latasha James, the grandparents and I love that because it's very important to connect with the coaching approach.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I don't know why, but for a long time, that's something I really didn't talk about myself I showed up personally on camera, yes, but I didn't talk much about my background, my family, what inspires me. I don't know why that is, but I only recently did. I really only do when people interview me and ask me about it. Cause I always think, well, nobody cares about that. Like nobody cares that I grew up helping my grandparents' business or whatever, but people do. Like, it's interesting, and it just helps build that connection and help people feel like they understand you a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think you have to cultivate your past, and this is very powerful. And it is one of my findings is the fact that you have an asset. Your life is something with a big value. Your souvenirs, your memories, your why, in fact, is more about why Latasha James is so, when you speak about being empathetic or being close to your customers or understand your audience. I think we understand you when we understand also your personal story. This is very interesting. About coaching, because this is the Latasha that I want to connect in the next months, is the coach. Because I think it's very interesting, your case, because you create James and Park, and you have your agency, you have your YouTube channel, and now the coaching approach. I think this is very modern, and you are a little bit prophetic with the crisis, because you are becoming a mentor. I think this is one of the subjects that I want to share with you. What are the basis of this coaching? Of course, tips to improve your business, but more than that.
Yeah. So I believe that everybody has their own unique story, their own unique why, just like you said, and their own unique voice in business. So my job as a mentor or as a coach is to really bring that out of people. I would never tell somebody, this is what you have to do. My goal is to help steer them in the right direction that they need to be in. and listen to them and give them maybe recommendations for what I would do or what I have done. But everybody in business has their own path. You know, some people worked in corporate America for 20 years before starting entrepreneurship. Some people, you know, are totally ready for entrepreneurship the day that they were born. Everybody has a different journey. So I'm really there as a support system and just to kind of help pull those things out of you.
Yeah. And for instance, when you start a coaching program, because I saw the program a little bit, what is the right process to be coached by you? There is a questionnaire, there is to fill a form or something, or an interview, because now you have 42 coaches here connected, including me. So we're here for you, Latasha.
Yeah, I have a couple of different ways that you can connect with me. So I have a membership group. So that's a really super affordable, kind of good entry level way to hop on calls like this. Yeah, we do like 2 to 3 calls a month usually, where I will do a coaching session on a different tool or platform or methodology or something like that. And then I also have one-on-one coaching where we would meet every other week on a personalized video call. So that is really custom made towards what exactly you need. So if you're just launching a business, we'll walk through, you know, here are the key things that you need to do and the things that you want to get accomplished over these next 3 months together. I custom make the curriculum for people. So both of those, you can find them on my website, latashajames.com. For the group program, you can just go ahead and purchase and get started. There's no application or anything. For one-on-one, there is a form that you would fill out. Just tell me a little bit about your business, what some of your goals are, and then we would hop on a discovery call together to see if we'd be a good fit, and then we'd get started.
Understood. This is, I think, is very, very interesting for everyone to discover this profile of being a digital entrepreneur, an agency, and now a coach. I think at Latasha, we will have a lot of people from corporate. You know, there's a very old brochure in my library about a banker who turns to become a hairdresser during the worldwide crisis in 1928. So we will come back to real offices, you know, a real métier. Comment tu dis métier? A hairdresser, baker, bartender. So the idea of going back to real professions will need a lot of coaching, because will be, of course, hairdresser, but with digital included approach, and of course the COVID new way of life, because no more personal contact, no more kisses, no more handshakes. So I think there is a real way to develop. I think many people can coach also to become like, you know, we saw in Patron, or now in URIJI, the way that you can, even if you are not an expert of digital, you can help others. And it could be a very good start for everyone. If I am a good musician, I can help other musicians. To coach someone is a way to give back also.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, one thing about COVID and recessions is actually entrepreneurship tends to grow during those times, which a lot of people are surprised about. But I think a lot of people start to realize, like, the old method might not necessarily be the most secure when things like that happen. So they start to explore starting, even if it's just a side business, or, you know, taking a couple clients on the side just to sort of help protect them. That actually grows. So I do think there will be a higher demand for coaching and mentorship and courses and all of that, actually, as people start to think about that for themselves.
Yeah, you're right. I think, but of course, there is a big turnaround. So it's a shock, you know, because even if you are an entrepreneur, you're losing your client, you're losing consumers. Everything is the world is really changing in such a speed that is a real danger to become déprimé, depressed. The psychological effect, and that's for me is so interesting to communicate more and to have this kind of screens between us to show to other people that we can discuss, we can have these discussions, and this is not a conference or a webinar. We're not prepared to that. But I think there is a very interesting point about education, because it's into coaching that I want to explore with you and with our audience, is the fact that how could we be more efficient educating others and of course receiving education, because now it's a daily education, self-education also.
Yeah. Well, I think in digital, regardless of what's going on in the world, I think digital is one of those industries where you have to constantly be educating yourself because it changes so fast. So I block out time in my day every day and designate that towards education. So whether that is listening to a podcast, reading a book, doing a course, I always recommend HubSpot's courses to people. They're free and they're really, really good if you want to learn about email marketing or inbound marketing or whatever. So yeah, I block off like 20 minutes a day at least to make sure that I'm reading for at least 20 minutes a day, or doing something educational. And if it's not on my calendar, I don't do it. So I actually put it on my calendar and make sure that I have the first 20 minutes of my day focused on that. And yeah, I mean, I think again, joining groups like this, joining networking groups, mentorship communities are really important, because sometimes it's not even a specific technology or a specific skill per se. It's just hearing it in a different way or hearing somebody else's perspective. I value that I have so many clients and friends from all over the world. And so they all bring me a different perspective. It's easy to get stuck in your bubble of, Detroit, Michigan, and only knowing what I know here. So I think it's really important to talk to other people and just hear other people's perspectives as well.
And what will change completely in the next months? What is the biggest change that you feel as a marketeer, as a digital mentor?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in the immediate times, like in the now, I think we have to change our messaging a little bit, or at least audit our messaging, take a look at it and make sure that we are being sensitive to where people are at, that we're not being insensitive. It's not to say that you can't sell. It's not to say that you can't continue. We have to continue with our lives, but I've seen so many messages gone wrong already, where you're guilt tripping people into buying things, or you're, causing hysteria and talking about how the world's going to end. And like, it's not the time for that. People are in a tough spot right now. Like we said, emotionally. And I think it's important to be sensitive towards that. So I think that's one thing that all marketers should do right now, is just take a look at their messaging and make sure that it's still appropriate. Longer term, I think either pivoting who your audience is, if your audience has been severely affected or your business has been severely affected, if you're in the travel industry, hospitality, food and beverage, start taking on portfolio clients now that are in some of these spaces that aren't so affected, whether that's digital first companies, apps and websites and content and things like that, or even grocery. We've seen certain industries, life insurance. There's tons of industries that are actually thriving right now. So pivoting a little bit. And then again, I think diversifying the clients that you're taking on, and also the offers that you're giving. So I'm not just serving my clients by running their marketing campaigns anymore. I'm also focusing on consulting and coaching and doing courses and different things, so that if, one thing does fail, or, I have to pause with some of my clients, I'll at least always have a couple of things to lean on.
Yeah, it's true. And for you, Latasha, as an influencer, I think because even for James and Park, what are the big changes? And because I think one of my sensitivities is your reach will increase. So it will be so Detroit, Michigan, okay, even the US, okay, 20 million employees. So we have to wow. So are you willing to increase the community? Are you open to go worldwide with us?
Yeah. Well, luckily, yeah.
Right.
Well, luckily for me, and this is something that is really just lucky for me. I didn't think very strategically about it from day one. I got lucky, but I do have a global client base as it is. I actually don't really have any clients in Detroit. Most of my clients are all over, all over the country and even all over the world. I have clients in Europe and clients all over. So that is lucky and fortunate because again, it just speaks to that diversification. If something affects my community, which unfortunately Detroit is being hit really hard. We're number 3 in the US. So a lot of people are out of work. A lot of industries are really suffering. I'm not kind of suffering with it. I at least have other clients all over the world that I can lean on. So that is something I recommend to people is, I'm not saying that you have to take clients from all over the world necessarily, but being open to it, I think has really helped me a lot. Again, just from the education perspective and just being really fun, being able to work with people all over, but also from a security standpoint, I feel a little bit more free actually having some additional people to reach out to.
So you are feeling that, yes, your reach is increasing despite the fact you have customers everywhere.
Yep.
Yes, the reach is increasing.
Yeah.
And then this morning I had a very very touching message in Bangladesh. They told me, Jean, we are active. We will be back soon. So people are suffering, but of course they are more willing to connect, and this is incredible. This is a big opportunity. But it's a huge change for corporate. The change is huge because the acceleration of digital, even of importation, exportations.
Yeah.
I think even I was looking up after the numbers. Apple in China is going back, but in China, phones are for China, not for the US or for France or.
Right.
So it's very interesting. Do you have anyone in China now?
I don't know. No one in China.
So we have to start to connect with China. There's a lot of very, very interesting people in China. China is more a normal country than we think.
Right.
And they are willing to connect with the world. I think it will be a very, very interesting change of gravity center from Europe to China.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I think it's very interesting for everyone here to understand also how because we speak a lot about digital transformation, but again, it's not so simple if you're an employee, if you are in a corporation, if you are losing your job. I have many friends in L'Oréal everywhere that are today, is a question mark.
Yeah.
So what could we tell to them that they are not yet entrepreneurs? They're in the corporate, as a corporate Americans.
Yeah.
Corporate world. And what could we say to help them to prepare this transition? Because transition is coming.
Yeah.
You will lose your job. It's not. It's normal.
Yeah.
So let's go for some advices to these future self-employees.
Yeah. Well, first you have to, kind of like we said, start telling your story, start being active on social media, in digital. Again, you don't have to be on every single platform all day and, spend your whole day on Instagram stories, but focus on a couple platforms that really makes sense for you and your industry. And maybe you don't know exactly what that is going to be yet, if you don't know exactly where your job's going to go, but you know where your expertise lies now and what skills you do have that eventually could translate into a freelance career or into a business. So focus on where those people are, and focus on dedicating, even if it's just 20 minutes a week. That's always kind of my first goal I give to people, is just spend 20 minutes a week curating some content, putting together some helpful content. And I always ask myself, how is this helping people? Before I post something, before I post a video, before I post an article, ask yourself that. And if you can answer, hey, this actually is helping somebody, chances are, that's going to look very good for you, for potential clients, potential employers, whatever. So 20 minutes a week,
really
at least.
New, Latasha.
Yep.
This is quite new, because before social networking, digital social networking was about showing yourself, promoting yourself, self-promoting yourself, promoting products. Okay, I use this makeup, la la. And now is helping. It's helping.
Yes.
So help is
Yes.
the key word of this. Guys, help others.
Yes.
We help everyone. This is very important.
Yeah, agree. Completely agree.
So you're writing your book?
I'm working on it. I know. I've been writing this book for like 2 years. But yes, and that's one of my big projects for this quarantine, is now that I have some extra time, is to keep working on my book.
So what is the main line of the book? Freelancing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect summary of what we've discussed. Honestly, it's kind of an entry level look into getting started as a freelancer. So it's going to be a little bit of telling my story, but it's primarily going to be some actionable tips for people. So here's what you need to do on day one as a freelancer, and just some of the steps that I took to find my version of success.
No, thank you so much for this, Latasha. I think we will go for several more happy hours together.
Yeah.
Even short formats. It could be 15 minutes, sharing a coffee. Or I cannot give to you the coffee, because you said in the podcast that you want your coffee in exchange of your time. But as a coachee from you, it's very interesting to connect in this way, and even to share with others what it means to be coached by you. This is very interesting for me, because people, they say, okay, coach is like a psychological approach. I think it's more than that. Everyone needs a coach. You need in part of your daily life. You need to exchange. And a little bit to see some questions of people here. So, of course, empathy is very important for everyone.
Yes.
Okay, here there is some about the membership. Yes, to be a member of Latasha community is very important. Latasha, you are URIJI member since 2017.
Yes.
And your first post is from 2015, when you moved to Detroit.
Oh, wow.
From Kalamazoo, yeah.
Yeah, almost 5 years.
It was your blog, no? You were, where is the blog? Go East, is Go East, no?
It was A Journey East.
A Journey East.
Yeah, it's gone now. It doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
So it's moved to the URIJI network. I hope you can start to write your book on URIJI and monetize it, because the wallet is very interesting. You will test it. And some question, guys. Don't miss the opportunity. So we have some pretty bad connection. Of course, this is very interesting, Latasha, because worldwide there is a real, a real rift about technology and connection, access to internet. It's a real problem.
Yes.
And I think we will need to go a little bit, not a little bit low tech, a little bit low connections, even using SMS to share some. We can do some exercise to help people using SMS, using a very, very simple message. What do you think about this problem of access to internet?
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I actually spoke to someone recently. I didn't even think about it because I live in the heart of a city. And she was telling me she lives in a really rural area and she lives out in the country. And because her kids are now home, you know, they're homeschooling now. She's like, my internet is so bad that it's hard for me to listen to podcasts that I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And so she gave a good tip for podcasters specifically is to actually upload lower file sizes. And that's something I never even thought about because, again, I'm lucky that I live in the city and have high-speed internet. But there's little things that I think we can do, even our image sizes on our websites, you know, making sure that our websites can actually load quickly for people with slower connections. And then, like you said, even just taking things old school somewhat by maybe just doing emails and you know, SMS, like you said. I think Messenger and, you know, these kind of instant message apps are more accessible for people than video sometimes too. So I definitely think it's important that we don't leave those people out.
Yeah, is the you know is the big majority of people worldwide. So
Yes.
we are doing some community work with Liberia and Nigeria now in this moment.
Yeah.
The real issue, you know, they connect, but of course it's not Zoom, huh?
Yeah.
The real issue.
Yep.
And yeah, and in Detroit, are you familiar with this digital identity? The fact that we are becoming digital citizens is something that is happening now. Do you think?
I don't think. I think Detroit is. I don't think we're quite there personally. I think there still is a lot of poverty in the city, and so there, you know, internet access. Even though I am in a city, it still is tough because so many people, you know, are still in such poverty. So I think it is a unique city in that sense. We're not San Francisco, you know, where there are these huge tech hubs and so much money flowing in the city. So I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's continue to be you are like the world, so you are at the same page. Okay,
Yep.
let's go for a quick wrap up of our meeting. Here is my connection. Even in the city, there could be internet problems. Yes, for sure. So guys, not a lot of questions here. It's good. It's good. Gilles raised is now, I think, a lot about digital shock. Suddenly everything is digital. I can be, she's an architect, Gilles, so I can be digital, but there are people who refuse to be digital, to go digital for now. I think it's not an easy thing for some generations, but now is a necessity to be connected. Yes, for sure. But we will have a lot of social issues with this digitalization. Of revenue streams, because the point is how to buy food, how to buy the normal stuff, and even the consumption. I think we are not saying enough how the consumption, you know, the buying things, buying gadgets. If you need a new more phone,
Right.
things are changing, even in makeup, in beauty. Things will change a lot.
For sure. But I think it's interesting to see even different generations starting to already learn tech so quickly now that COVID is happening. You know, like my mom, she never knew how to use Zoom until a couple weeks ago, because if we want to see each other, we have to learn how to video chat. So I think when it's a necessity, you know, I think we have to give people more credit. Like they are totally capable of learning. I think for a lot of people, it's just understanding the use case. Like they may not have ever needed it before, but now that it's becoming our reality, I think people are more than willing to learn.
No, it is even true in the other direction. For instance, my kids, I have my daughter, she's 20, and my son, he's 19, the big ones. And they are together in the same room in Paris in 33 days. It's a very, very small space. I think it's 10 square meters. So it's a chambre de bonne in Paris.
Yep.
And what is interesting is before the pandemic, it was about Snapchat, TikTok. Okay, Dad, you have URIJI, but URIJI is too deep. I need TikTok. And now conversations at night with my kids is like, it's like, okay, Dad, when you were 18 years old, what was your mindset? Okay, tell me about the family roots. And so whoa, what is happening here? There are new millennials, the new centennials. It's a new mood. It's a real new mood. Even of these two kids, they are my children. But for me, the change is wow. Now they answer. Now they write. Now they give news. Now they read real books. So this is very, very interesting. So it's a little bit also coming back to basics.
Yeah, totally agree.
Wow. So, okay, will COVID change the paradigm of digital entrepreneurship? In case of yes, what will be the new challenge? Okay. Thank you, Gabriel. So, Latasha, what is the new challenge, just to wrap up our meeting?
Yeah, what's the new challenge of entrepreneurship? I mean, I think it's being flexible. I think it's, pivoting where we need to. You might not be giving the same offer as you were 6 months ago. I'm not, but my business is still running because I'm being flexible to what people need now, and being sensitive to what people need now. So I think that's the key.
Yes, flexibility is very important. Accessibility, I think like Jim Carrey saying yes to everything. Yes, man. Yes, woman. Yes, of course. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so more questions. Yeah. How to sell your product in times like this? Yes, I think Latasha answered it. You have to pivoter, you said. It's very important.
Yeah, pivot. I mean, and I think they say, where'd you draw the line between taking advantage and just taking this wave as a kickstart? So I think, again, going back to how is this helping people? Because if you really feel like what you have to offer is helping people, you're not going to feel like you're taking advantage of people. I know that, if people, their businesses are struggling and they need marketing help or they need a coach, I know that I'm going to help them and I will be worth what I'm asking, not that I am trying to kind of get over on them or be deceptive in any way. So I think if you really believe in your offer, you believe in what you have, you shouldn't feel guilty about selling, and don't use what's going on now as a selling point necessarily, as the main selling point. You should believe in what you believe, what you have to offer, whether this is going on or not. And you shouldn't be guilting people into helping you because your business might be struggling right now or anything like that. You should stand behind your offer regardless.
Thank you so much, Latasha. So I give to you le mot de la fin, last words of this happy hour. So à toi l'honneur, s'il te plaît. Give to us what is your general message for everyone here. This is the first one. We will have a second one and a third one and more. So Latasha, à toi l'honneur.
Yeah. Well, I think stay strong, stay positive. Number one, be helpful. Make sure that you're helping your community, you're being there for your community. And to plug your app a little bit, set some goals, create some goals. In the app, you can do that, which is great. Set some actual goals for yourself to accomplish during this quarantine time, whether that's officially starting your business, whether that's launching your first product. Having concrete goals really helps.
Thank you so much. This is beautiful.
Merci. Thank you.
Latasha, et on va continuer à travailler en français maintenant.
Yes, let's do it.
Oui, tu dois dire oui.
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 Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
I feel fine as I walk down the street, really far from what I have to do.